A year ago, I began filming my new movie, Am I Racist? The goal of the movie was to go deep undercover into the world of DEI and show how bad the problem really is. There'll be some moments in the movie that just seem too crazy to be real, but I assure you it is all real and it has been a real problem for a while. To prove to you how big of an issue DEI is, I wanted to take you on a trip down memory lane of some recent real-world examples of anti-white racism. But before we do that, check out the trailer for Am I Racist? Visit amирacist.com to check out showings and buy tickets at a theater near you. Now enjoy the trailer.
Republicans are Nazis. You cannot separate yourselves from the bad white people.
Growing up, I never thought much about race. It never really seemed to matter that much, at least not to me.
Am I racist?
I would really appreciate it if you left.
I'm trying to learn. I'm on this journey.
If I'm going to sort this out, I need to go deeper undercover.
They gon' say I'm racist.
Joining us now is Matt, certified DEI expert.
Here's my certification. And what you're doing is you're stretching out of your whiteness. This is more for you in this field. Is America inherently racist?
The word inherent is challenging there.
I want to rename the George Washington Monument to the George Floyd Monument.
America is racist to its bones.
So inherently.
Yeah.
This country is a piece of
White.
folks,
White.
trash, white supremacy, white woman, white boy.
Is there a black person around here?
There's a black person right here. Does he not
They gon'
exist?
say I'm racist.
Hi, Robin.
Hi, what's your name?
I'm Matt.
It's had to ask who you are because you have to be careful.
Never be too careful.
They gon' say you racist.
In theaters now. Rated PG-13.
All right. I also can't think of an excuse for this as we move up to Boston, where Mayor Michelle Wu, you may remember her, she was last seen sort of awkwardly sitting there silently while she got insulted relentlessly on Instagram Live, which was a great video. This one, not as good. She gave a speech at the annual Boston St. Patrick's Day breakfast where she said this, listen.
Over 100 days, we have connected unhoused residents at Massancast to housing, treatment, and services. We've launched 3 free bus lines. We've taken some big, bold actions, but I won't lie. This past winter was pretty intense. Trial by snow, trial by fire, fighters union. I'm getting used to dealing with problems that are expensive, disruptive, and white. I'm talking about snowflakes, I mean snowstorm snowflakes.
Oh, hilarious. She's dealing with problems that are expensive, disruptive, and white, which is a joke she decided to tell, by the way, at a St. Patrick's Day event. And the excuse that's being given on her behalf is that apparently at this event, the tradition is that the mayor gets up there and gives a funny speech and tells a bunch of jokes. Okay, fine. So she's telling a joke. Now all of a sudden, people on the left are saying, hey, calm down, it's just a joke. Now, when an actual stand-up comedian at a stand-up special tells jokes, that's Armageddon. That's the apocalypse. That's a human rights abuse. We got to have marches in the street and boycotts. You know, Dave Chappelle's an actual stand-up comedian. It's his job to tell jokes. And he does a stand-up special where he tells jokes, and that's a problem. You can't do that. Yeah, we're going to make excuses for a politician on St. Patrick's Day who decides to make a joke that all of her problems are expensive, disruptive, and white. Now, I don't need to point this out, but I will, because that's pretty much the entire show is me pointing out things I shouldn't need to point out. If this was a mayor of a city who was commemorating Black History Month by making a hilarious joke about how most of his problems are expensive, disruptive, and black, you know, I don't think all the people that are having such good humor about it would feel that way about it. There would be riots in the streets. It would be considered a historic catastrophe. They would they would literally commemorate the day that it happened. If that happened today, March 22nd, that a mayor got up there and said, you know, all my problems are disruptive, expensive, disruptive, and black. I'm not talking about black people. I'm talking about the pavement. There's a lot of potholes. Don't you get it? If that were to happen, and March 22nd would be a day. We would have anniversaries of it. Next March 22nd, they would talk about where they were when they heard that joke and what terrible damage it did to them, the trauma that they've suffered. I mean, we would never hear the end of it. They would build monuments to commemorate the tragedy where people could go and weep over the joke that was told. And yet, what we are supposed to get accustomed to, and many of us are accustomed to, is just that, it's different. Mayor Wu is a non-white person, and she's making jokes about white people, and so it's just different. She's allowed to do that. That's what we're supposed to accept that. I don't. I think we should not accept it. Now, as I've said before, we don't want to call this a double standard, really, because it's actually not. There is in fact one standard. The standard is from the left, like, we can do things that you can't do. Non-white people can do things that white people cannot do. That's the standard. But it's a twisted, perverse standard. And we should never tire of criticizing of it. And yes, we should react with anger to stuff like this. We should be outraged about it, yeah. Because the only other option is just to move on from it and say, okay, fine, you can do that. Like, I know you're doing something that a white person could never get away with, but all right, you can just do it. Why should we go along with that? That's what it's like as white people, you're just supposed to sort of accept that, okay, well, you can come and spit in my face. All right. I don't like it, but all right. Why should we accept that? No, I'm not going to have you spit in my face, especially it's like St. Patrick's Day, to make it all the worse. So this is your way, rather than talking about how you appreciate Irish culture, you're going to tell us that your problems are all white? You disgusting, drooling, ugly bigot. You racist scumbag. Should be the response to this person. It is, because that's exactly what it would be in the reverse, but a lot more harsh. We all know. I mean, the mayor would be kicked out of office, probably arrested for a hate crime, and I'm not exaggerating. But you can't even conceive of actually fully of what the reaction would be, because it is literally inconceivable that a politician would ever make a joke like that about any race of people other than white. And is that a reality that we want to accept? That there is one race of people, that the most powerful people in our society, politicians who are running cities and running the country, are allowed to joke about and insult? Do we really want to accept that? Because that doesn't go anywhere good. When there's one group of people that we determine by race who you're allowed to disrespect, but nobody else. Now, you want to open up the floodgates and say that, yeah, jokes are jokes. You can make jokes about any race you want. And, hey, that's fine. If that's the rule, I'm totally on board for that. But I'm not on board for the rule that you're allowed to do this to white people, but nobody else. Not on board for that. Using the internet without ExpressVPN, it's like passing a note in class and having the teacher read it aloud to everyone. Nobody else has to know about your secret crush on Stacy's mom. Am I right? Did you know that your internet service provider can see every single website you visit? That's right, every single one. And here's the kicker. They can legally sell this information to ad companies and tech giants without your consent. Now, I don't know about you, but I'm not too keen on big tech knowing my every online move. That's why I use ExpressVPN. When you use ExpressVPN, your ISP can't see what you're doing online. Your identity is hidden behind a secure VPN server, and all your data is encrypted. It's like putting a blindfold on big tech's prying eyes. Don't worry, you don't need to be a computer whiz to use it. Even I can do it. You just open the app, click one button. It's really that simple. Plus, it works on all your devices, phones, laptops, even your router, so everyone in your household can browse more anonymously. Look, in today's world, a VPN isn't just nice to have, it's absolutely essential. Don't let your data be harvested and sold to the highest bidder. Secure your online activity with ExpressVPN and get 3 extra months free by visiting expressvpn.com/WalshYT. That's expressvpn.com/WalshYT and get an extra 3 months free. expressvpn.com/WalshYT. Okay, moving now to, I just want to, one clip here. We've got members of the Republican establishment after this speech yesterday from Biden in Georgia, where he said that everyone who disagrees with him is a Confederate and a racist. They're all, and Biden said that after claiming when he got into office that he wanted to unite everybody. So Republican establishment, they're very upset about this. They feel backstabbed because they've been pretty supportive of Biden. They haven't been too critical of him. Some of them supported him over Trump. And so they thought that they would always be the exception. And they thought at the very least, when Biden delivers a speech like this, he would say that my opponents are all racist, except for these guys over here. They're fine. And the Republican establishment is shocked and appalled to find out that didn't happen. They're getting lumped in with everybody else. So here's Mitt Romney expressing his shock and horror.
I had the occasion to watch President Biden as he spoke in Georgia just a few minutes ago. And he said quite a number of things that simply weren't true. He also accused a number of my good and principled colleagues in the Senate of having sinister, even racist inclinations. He charged that voting against his bill allies us with Bull Connor, George Wallace, and Jefferson Davis. So much for unifying the country and working across the aisle. More troubling, however, he said that the goal of some Republicans is to, quote, turn the will of the voters into a mere suggestion. And so President Biden goes down the same tragic road taken by President Trump, casting doubt on the reliability of American elections. This is a sad, sad day. I expected more of President Biden.
You did? Well, what does that tell you? What does that tell you about, what does that tell us about you, rather, I should say? That you expected more? Why did you expect more of President Biden? What has he ever shown you in he's been in the public eye for 97 years. What is in the nearly century that he's been on the stage? What has he ever shown you, ever, that would make you expect more? But Mitt Romney, totally scandalized by this, can't believe it. Well, also Mitch McConnell also was very, very upset, nearly in tears, that he had been accused of racism in this way by a man who he's just disappointed. He expected more. Let's listen.
Yesterday, that very same man delivered a deliberately divisive speech that was designed to pull our country further apart. 12 months ago, this president said we should see each other not as adversaries, but as neighbors. Yesterday, he called millions of Americans his domestic enemies.
Who would have thought? He said he wanted to bring us all together. Turns out he didn't want to do that. These people will never learn. You know, as I've tried to explain many times, nobody wants unity, actually. Least of all Joe Biden. Because unity for unity's sake can't exist. Got to unite around something. There have to be sort of like terms upon which within which we are uniting. And so the terms of unity for Joe Biden are that you do exactly as he says, and you submit, and then we can all have unity there. We can have unity in chains. We can have unity in submission, in obedience to him. That's what he means by unity. Just to clarify for you.